This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Another week, we got football, everybody. We're going to talk about that and more here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. Thank y'all for pulling up as usual. I'm Jay, you got Coop. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. While you're here, please wipe your feet. Like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway. And gift it. So on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, me and Coop's going to jump into, we'll talk about the AP polls. We'll also dive into what to watch for versus Houston. Then we're going to give you bold predictions. We're going to go ahead and go out on a limb and tell you what we think is going to happen. So, Coop, happy Wednesday night, man. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. It's I like the short week. The short week kind of like with the Monday off, you kind of did some other stuff, had lots of football going on. Now you're, 3 days away from game day again. So yeah, ready to rock.
Yeah, it feels good, right? Like I said, the shorter week, and you actually had football on Monday. So this is the last week where you don't have football on Thursday and all of that stuff, because you'll get back to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday moving forward, because NFL starts this weekend. So it's going to be a great time. I'm pretty excited. Thanks, everybody, for pulling up. What is up? Somebody go ahead and kick that Preston Gant person out. I need them to go ahead and boot him from the chat. We need him gone. I'm not sure about him as this long-time fan person. But yes! Losing his mind. Cool, man. There's been a lot of talk over the last 24 to 48 hours about everyone's feeling on what the offensive line should look like. Did I miss something? Did something happen this past week?
Nothing I can remember.
Oh, okay. So good. So I did not miss anything is what you're telling me. Okay.
No,
I was a little nervous. I was wanting to make sure that's something that we didn't hit. Hey, yeah, shout out to the mod team. Steven will do that. Thank you all for the mods that are handling the chat. Y'all have done a fantastic job. And I mean, honestly, it's Wednesday. We've got a game this weekend. So it's like, there's not a lot to talk about. I mean, at least as much as I would like to talk about. But I'll say this, we have things to get mad about. I guess that's probably the more important thing, right? We have the AP poll as well as the coaches poll. Let me grab those. I'm going to put these up here on the screen so everybody can talk about it. But overall, right now, Oklahoma is sitting, 15 and, what's that, 13, basically? Depending on which one. Coaches, like I said, 13. The other poll, the AP poll, like I said, 15, which is kind of interesting. Coop, what you think so far as I pull this up for everybody to see?
It is week 2 and overreactions. We go from talk season to certified college football coaching staff. So that's what happens when you get into this early season. And, there's a lot of games where you play nobodies. There's a lot of games where guys are getting their first taste of live action, not against their teammates. You got games like the USC LSU game to where at the end of it, you're like, what is going on? Who is what? Is this iron sharpening iron, or is this clay slapping up against wet clay? I mean, you don't ever really know until you get a few games underneath your belt. And I think I said this when I was on with Jason earlier today is, I mean, the only team that you can really kind of understand who they are at this point is Florida State. And so, that I think that ship is pretty much in the dock. And so, yeah, that's just my thoughts. Again, these polls, you got Tennessee, who some people are saying could be the best team in the country, and we're one slot behind them. and apparently we've got issues left and right. So this is middle of the year. You're right where you need to be. You don't you're any higher. You figure that it's going to be about the same as where you're at right now. You just keep on winning. It's one game at a time.
Yeah, I'm here on the one game at a time, and yeah, it's too early. There's no real reason to, I guess you could say, quote unquote, take these too seriously, because I don't. Right? We talked about this before. It is what it is, and as much as I would like for us to get any type of respect, we're not. I think Reese Davis is the only one that had us outside of the top 20. That's like a tradition as old as the game itself.
Yeah.
We did have somebody though, Chris Murphy. He's a Nevada guy, Nevada grad, and he had us at like number 4 or 5 he had number 5 in the country. I am the biggest homer out there for any team that I truly root for, but I darn sure am not going to put us at number 5 in the country right now. It's way too darn early. Now, granted, if he ends up being right and we move there, he's going to look at us like Thanos and said, they called me a madman.
Yeah.
It's just the strongest wills come from, has come from the strongest people, right? The toughest choices have come from the strongest people. And he decided to make that choice early. But I do believe that it's too early. It's fun to overreact because we ain't got nothing else to do. It's the first week that just passed, and we've got Houston coming up next week. So I guess we can really just jump right into that. How do you feel about this game? Like, on a serious note, how do you really feel about this game?
I'm going to take a look at the Houston, primetime players on offense, and
wait,
I don't see
primetime players.
I don't see anything.
What is that?
Nothing at all. You got, Houston looked really, really bad. They're going to have a lot of shuffling. You're going to have some more cats who are hopping in here and wanting to prove themselves. So, this is one of those things where, when you talk about teams that are dangerous, team that's got nothing to lose, backed into a corner. Sometimes that can be a more dangerous team than a team who's, got something to play for. So, that being said, I don't really concern myself much with anything. I think that I had it pulled up over here earlier, but I think they ran for 38 yards. You give them back the sack yards, and that's 62. So, not anything to be too terrified about. Just listen to Gabe and Teddy's show. They expect them to run a lot of 12 personnel and really try to keep the probably try to keep the quarterback upright. I think they gave up 5 sacks, had 5 holding calls. It was not pretty on offense for them. And UNLV, the running Rebels. I got $5 for anybody who knew what that team was. If I didn't say that out loud, but they went out and they ran all over them. They threw, one quarterback threw for 71 yards, one threw for 42 yards. They ran for 200. So this is something that if OU on the offensive side needs to come out and really just grind it out, really get on the strain and the push on the offensive line. And but this is another team that you are going to be out in front of. You should dominate in every statistical category, and you need to just come out and do business. I think after last week, you got something to prove on offense, and you got to prove it's not a fluke on defense.
Yeah, shout out to our guy, Stats by Popo, getting us all of the big-time statistics on here, and we realized just really how bad they are. Like, they're just awful in every capacity that you could imagine, right? There's nothing good about them. They're bad. They're ranked basically in the bottom of every single category you could imagine. They scored on the last play of the game, basically, this past Saturday, right? Like I don't want to keep bashing on them, but at the same time, I also want us to have realistic expectations into this game and understand that they're just not good. So, Coop, we're looking at this like, okay, what can we expect out of Houston for us? Like, Donovan Smith's their quarterback. We've synced Donovan Smith before. We understand Donovan Smith's game because Donovan Smith was over at Texas Tech, and we saw him 2 years ago. And as we were trying to figure out our lives, we got to face Donovan Smith, and Donovan Smith was just not very good. He looks bad. He looks
not
unhealthy.
Good. Well, most quarterbacks are going to look like that when you got about 0.7 seconds to throw the ball.
Right.
When a three-step drop is a deep drop for you during the game, that's not good. So I don't again I don't expect Houston to want to replicate this past week. This week, they are going to run in here, and I promise you that they're going to put a little bit more of a game face on. Maybe they looked past UNLV, thought that they could just show up and play really, really well because they're a Big 12 team now. But, you've seen this with some of the Big 12 teams, teams coming into a bigger conference. It takes them a few years to really get their stride. And so they're going against Oklahoma. Their coaching staff, some of these players, they've got some familiarity with Oklahoma. And, if I was their coach right now, I would be talking about, let's go shock the world. Let's go do something big. That being said, my son also wants to be an astronaut, and I tell him go for it. So
I love it.
I don't know if he's going to be an astronaut.
He should be. And it's funny because Houston gave up 5 sacks to UNLV. We got 6 against Temple. I was listening to Teddy and Gabe earlier, too. There's a good chance we can go for 10 in this game.
I heard that, and I want to caution everybody. I think that's more of a statement on how poor they are. But again, I mean, after game 1, you got to think that whatever we saw with Max Protect last year, you add 2 more pillars at the edge. They're going to be running a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back in the backfield, which means that I think that the linebackers and I think the safeties are going to absolutely cook in this game. And it should get kind of funny because if you get the interior push like you got this past week, it's going to be, you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks scrambling 6 or 7 yards deep just to get out of harm's way. But you've got a free safety running. You've got Kendall Dolby running around. You probably have a corner running around who has an open shot on you. So expect maybe some big hits from our safeties, linebackers, and defensive backs, outside the pocket, because that's probably what you're going to see.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. While at the same time, I still believe that this team is just going to be that bad. Like, what do we do? Like, I feel I'm in a dumps now because I'm just like, I really wanted to, talk up Houston and get excited about this game. Man, they were smart by putting this game on
SEC.
On SEC
Network. I mean,
they said, nah, guys, we're not interested in this game.
Somebody down in Houston might have pitched some oil money to have them put this on the CW just to keep it out of harm's way.
Yeah, can y'all keep this off the national television spectrum? We don't want people to see this just because.
How much will it take to put this on PBS?
Yeah, it's kind of right, and I feel bad talking about them like this. Like I am genuinely. I think if anything, going into this weekend. Let's jump into that. I guess we can just basically run the whole rest of the show on this. Like the expectations we have for certain players in this game, or what expectations and bold predictions that we have going into this. Because, look, I'm excited about the jerseys. We're gonna be rocking the new jerseys, right? We're gonna do something different. I would like to get those white helmets on those white jerseys. That would be awesome. But I guess the question is, would we even do that?
Jay, we're talking about fashion. We ain't talking about the game. We're talking about fashion.
I'm just saying,
not the game.
I want those white.
Matchups.
I want those white helmets.
About fashion
with the white jerseys, though. You can't tell me that wouldn't be dope. Like it ain't dope. I think that's the flyest thing ever, man.
I like it. But unfortunately, you don't schedule these games, after week 1. You schedule them years back, and this is one of the Big 12 matchups that we kept up. And unfortunately, you saw coaching shuffling. This is going to be a team here in a couple of years that's probably going to be a little bit more formidable. But I mean, due to just the transfer portal and people not knowing what was coming in, and it's just not going to be that marquee. But I think after working on some strategic offense last week, you're gonna see a little bit more of coaching this week, and that's what I'm excited to see about is. You got some guys who can improve upon last week. Let's see how serious they took practice this week, because there's a lot of guys running around on one side of the ball, and he is. I mean, we got a lot of confidence, but you got BV and Zach Alley out there saying, "Hey, you haven't done anything yet. Like, this is one game. Let's prove that this is a way of life." And then you got one side who is going to, be looking around for who wants to get better from this past week. Because if you don't want to get better this past week, it's going to be more of the same.
And Kimberly makes a great point here. Thank you for that. I expect effort, but Houston's coach had a presser on Monday about OU that was deflating for his own team. That's the problem. Like, he's even looking in the mirror saying, we're a year away. That's basically what it looks like. We're a year away from actually competing. And I'm just like, dang. Cool. I'm depressed for them.
It's
they've
like had a rough time.
The flag has been waved already.
They had a rough time in Houston this year, and I just don't. And this can't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because it's not like this ain't even Temple or Maine or Western Kentucky coming in to get themselves a payday. This is a Big 12 team. This is a group of 4 teams, so a Power 4 team.
Right.
So that's the hard part about it, because I mean, this is what Vanderbilt felt like for a long time. But hey, they got themselves a win this week.
Yeah, what was their win total going into the season?
Vandy?
Were they 2?
I wouldn't expect to be in much more than that. They're halfway home, bro.
Right. I think their win total was like 2. It had to have been. It feels like it should have been. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, how are they only like, I mean, Vanderbilt's was 2.5, and that was probably the best value in college football, was taking them with their win total going over, right? Like, that's the one that you could have easily taken, and probably you're going to hit, because I think that Vandy's definitely going to go over the 2 win total. They'll probably win at least 3 games this year. I know, right? But, bro, Houston is that bad. They're at the bottom of the barrel. I feel awful talking about Houston.
It's not even like Houston Christian. This is Houston.
Houston, right? I'm so used to Houston being good. It's like dang, dog, they went to lose too. Hey man, let's see what Vandy gonna do this year, man. If Vandy's gonna be terrorizing people. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, don't sleep on Vandy. Like they look like they out here trying to they gonna cause problems. And they
had an offense last year. It wasn't completely terrible. Earlier in the year, I mean, they had an extra game on everybody, but I think like 4 or 5 games in the season, I mean, they were top 10 in offense. So I mean, they did some stuff last year, but I mean, that's just one of those schools that doesn't have a football tradition, since color TV was been around, and that's more of an academic school with higher standards. But I mean, it's good to see them getting out there, because that's one of them teams that have been yelling SEC at everybody, for the past several years, because you got to hook yourself up to something. But that the SEC shorts where they walk in the pimp gear at the end and they're strutting, that might have been my favorite part of that video, outside of the nailing of Oklahoma fans.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Look, Diego Pavia is a lot better than people expect. And remember, he did take New Mexico State into Auburn and beat them with a 4-letter acronym school. That's usually the thing you don't let people do at your house. Not road. There's pieces there, but at home, you don't let a 4-letter acronym school beat you. All right. We're going to do bold predictions in a minute, but we got to take a minute to thank the people that loves us. We're going to talk about BetUS. They've been hooking the people up. They're giving you 125% up to $2,000 in your first 3 deposits. And let me pull this up so y'all can see this. We'll let Coop go and pick his nose for 35 seconds. But as of right now, the Houston game is -28. It's a lot. It's starting to drop. Opened at 26. It went up to 30 at one point. Now it's down to 28. Question is, can the Sooners cover it? But the over-unders now moved up to 50. It was 49 earlier today when I was looking at it. So dropping a couple dollars on that, nothing wrong with taking that dub. But I think that Oklahoma can still cover that spread. Check out BetUS. Links in the description below as well as in the pinned comment. That's coming later. They're hooking you up 125% up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. They're taking care of the gamer. Coop, we have to have a conversation about this. Players sound like we may be getting some people playing. Got a question for you. Do you believe? Let's look at the wide receiver room. Who do you think is going to be starting out there at wide receiver this week? Because the depth chart comes out tomorrow, if I'm correct.
I bet you see Andrell Anthony, Brennan Thompson, and Hester as the starting wideouts this week. And I would say that maybe if Nick does, if Nick's done well Saturday, Saturday through his rehab stuff, everything like that, you may see him run out kind of like Andrell did, but I don't expect it. I would, so you're going to get to see some pups. Petaway had been kind of struggling with a little bit of a hamstring. And so hopefully he was out there, he ran some routes, he did some blocking. And so, I think you're going to see some Hester, some Kearney, carry on. Those are some guys that you're going to see. We saw multiple times Zion Ragens out there with one-on-one coverage, and we didn't even consider taking a shot or anything like that. So, I think that's going to be who you're going to see out there. And, hopefully you can get things wrapped up pretty handily by, middle of the third quarter so you can pull Jackson out and let Hawkins get out there and run the show.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for as well. I would like to see – because Venables mentioned that Nick will be ready to play. I don't think they actually play him, though. I do think that we do see some Zion raging out there. I think that he actually gets some run. They said that he's making some catches in practice and is looking good. Jaquez Petaway is going to play. We're probably going to go all young. Like I said, Brennan, Hester, Burks, Petaway is probably going to be your 4, right? You may play a little bit of Andrell Anthony. You need to? No, but you need to give him some snaps. He does need to go through the motions, get dressed, go through the motions. So there's a good chance that he will end up going. But I don't. Besides that,
I think Burks is going to want to get his touches. That's going to be a big thing. I think that you let him cook a little bit more because I think that he's got a real opportunity to have 12 to 15 a game. What did he have? 9 touches this past week. So you get him back out there, let him see the field some. But yeah, I want to see what happens if you allow an Ivan Carry-On get into a little bit of a rhythm. Let Petaway have some run. I think last year he got a lot of short game snaps. I think Zion Kearney is probably one of my favorite young kids. So I would like to see him get out there because he's a guy who's reminded me just body type, how he moves around like CeeDee Lamb. So I want to see a lot of these guys get out there. But you're going to see Jackson still needs snaps. So I still think that even if it's 48-0 at halftime, I think you probably bring him in for a couple rounds in third quarter too, just to get him some more stuff. We might see more of that playing in a box type of a deal, but it's going to be an all out. We had 84 play this past week. I bet we see right around that because I think originally I said 55, and everybody convinced me it's probably going to be more, and I thought it through, and I was like, oh yeah, well we're going to definitely do more. So but let's see, can Marcus Strong and Champ Sanders, can those guys get back out there and run some more dominance? Marcus Strong looked really, really good, so I'd like to see him back here. Kim, Nigel Smith was out there. He got some playing time at the end. I think Danny just got a few snaps.
Yeah, Danny did.
So you emptied the bench. You had Ace Hodges out there, Bergen Kaiser get out there. You got a lot of people. Yeah, maybe see Vaughn Mitchell get out and get some stuff. Gabe and Teddy were talking fantasy land, but they were talking about running a little 13 personnel with 3 tight ends on the field. And I think that with a McIntyre and a Caden Helms, that you can run a 13 personnel with 3 tight ends, or get slot one of them out as a wide receiver and just see how that runs, because both of them were slotted out this past week. So gotta see it.
We do tight end room. So you're definitely. I want to, and Game and Teddy talked about this a little bit too. And I thought that was an interesting conversation. I would love to see some like 3 tight end sets, right? What's that? Some 13 personnel, right? That would be a little bit of intrigue, right? Because you can actually move Bauer as well as Caden Helms or Kay McIntyre, whichever one you decide to play. You can even split them out a little bit because they've got that size. But I want to see Jake Roberts get a little bit more action. I'm ready to see what he looks like out there in space making catches. We know what Bauer is. Bauer is going to be a problem regardless. But I'm intrigued to see what we get out of Jake Roberts as well as the young guys too, right? Because I'm assuming that Bauer's going to be the leading tight end once we start getting towards Tulane and getting to Tennessee and going forward. Who do you think, besides Bauer, who do you think ends up taking really that second spot at tight end?
I mean, it's going to be Jake Roberts. And Jake Roberts, there was one of the plays where we had a 3 and out pretty quickly. We had Jackson ran an RPO and held the ball and got sacked. I don't know if it was a great read or not, or if it was just a blown lineman assignment. But that third down was 3rd and 13. He rolled out. He had Jake Roberts in the perfect spot. If he breaks towards the sideline, it's a first down. But Jake just turned around and the ball went towards the sideline, hit the ground. So I'd like to see some more run like that, because you get better by reps, and you can watch all the film and do all the practice that you want, but you got to get out there and move around. And a lot of us been playing this video game for a couple months, and we've seen Jake Roberts get out there and move around slowly on that game, but make some catches. So I mean, I like to see him rewarded. Vaughn Mitchell was on I think kickoff coverage and punt coverage towards the end. Towards the end of the game, so maybe he gets some run, because I'd like to see him, get the ball in their hands. It's going to be good.
It will be. We play Houston. I know we lost to them when Stoops was here at the end of Bob Stoops' era. That was 16. But we've beat them since. Did we play them last season? Can't remember if we played them last. We didn't play them last season. I remember last time we played Houston.
I felt like it was a close game last season.
We didn't play them last year. I need to go find the last time that we actually played Houston. It's now going to be stuck in my brain for like the next few days. So I'm going to go ahead and start running back. And it's funny that that we had this scheduled a long time ago, and because we had it scheduled, we kept it, right? Because we ended up no longer being in the same conference. We beat them 49-31. First game of the season, 2019.
Yeah.
So
that's right. They played. That was the game where they played Texas, and Texas stopped them at the goal line going in to try to tie the game this past year. So,
that was a Texas game. Yeah, Jalen Hurts was out there commanding, and we was up 21-0 to start the game, and then we just let them keep scoring for no apparent reason. But Derek King was their quarterback. Jesus Christ, Eric King was the quarterback. And that was 19. That was what? Wow,
that's crazy.
Wow, that was. I think.
I mean, I want to see some of these young pups. The names you see in the chat here with Boganowski, Reggie Powers III. He got in. I think Reggie Powers and Hardy were the first 2 safeties out. Dolby stayed out a little bit extra long, and then Boganowski came in. And you saw some of the youth in there. We had a lot of guys play out on the edge. Gentry was basically pretending to be a cornerback for a while because nobody threw the ball. The defensive line just kind of ran shop, but yeah, I want to see that because I promise you this is if they try to run that 12 personnel and we push them out and Boganowski gets a clear hit on somebody, he is going to take it. And there's going to be oohs, there's going to be ahs. And I want to see him get a one-on-one clear hit instead of, collateral damage and hitting two or three your teammates. And I know that, Reggie is in here, and he made a comment. I think that Marcus got a sack, right in front of Michael, so or Reggie the third. So I think we got a lot of excitement coming up, and these are the fun things about stacking talent is you can't wait to see these guys out here.
The good thing too, and this is kind of the caution I want to put out here to the fans, right? If you play the young players, they're going to do things that young players always do.
Yep.
Which is making mistakes, right? So as much as we want to go out there and really just, take care of business against Houston, if you play the young guys, they're still trying to adjust to this defense. And there's a chance that they could get, tricked or scored on, etc. Right? I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying that that's what happens whenever you are dealing with young players playing. I'm cool with it, but, it is what it is. Okay, offensive line, Coop. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. New to the channel, subscribe. We got a lot of y'all watching that ain't subscribed, so y'all need to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's free and help the people out. Coop, offensive line-wise, let's go ahead and, talk about the elephant in the room.
About the big general elephant or any specific elephant?
It's the general elephant. It's the general elephant of the offensive line that's in the room that we've got to talk about. BV talked about injuries and health. It appears Jake Taylor is available for this game.
Yeah.
Question 1, do you think Jake Taylor plays?
Yes, I think Jake does play. I don't think Jake plays a ton. I think you want to get him out there, get his sea legs back underneath him, which pretty much means you're going to have Spencer Brown come out and get some more run. I don't think Taylor's going to be because you can't have Spencer Brown just completely be a casualty. There's not much behind him yet to replace him. I think that Haaland is going to be a kid who is going to probably be in that rotation. Also, Isaiah Autry is still dinged up, so he's probably out for 1 or 2 more weeks. But you just gotta start getting guys healthy, and so I'm hoping that that's going to be a big piece. Hickman he's going to be day to day. I don't expect to see Hickman this week. I would hope to maybe see him get some time next week in a little bit of form and fashion. You could potentially get Everett back also. So, that's it. But I think that whereas we played a big scripted game to where you wanted to see what it looked like to play in a box this past week, I think that you'll see more of, and I said this earlier, there's more coaching. You're going to see, running backs in the passing game. You're going to see more runs out on the edges. So I think that's going to help out the offensive line, a good amount. And that might be how we have to, live life here until we get some decent health in.
Yeah, the biggest thing is we just need to get healthy. And as long as we can play and be healthy, we should be good going forward. Y'all got some good questions in here. I've been looking at some of them. I'm just trying to scroll through and grab some. You don't think Hickman plays. Who do you think runs the center spot? Do you think they keep Hatchett, or do you think that we go with the Troy? Do we? Troy Everett's not going to play. He shouldn't. Do you think they'll go ahead and just tell Bates to do it for the whole game?
I think you're going to see a rotation of Bates and Hatchett. Hatchett, it looked like he was barely holding on to his arm. So, that's it. Just is what it is. I mean, he's still one of your more healthy guys. So I don't know what the interior defensive line was doing to these cats in the offseason, but now you're starting to see maybe why the offense struggled a tad bit, because they were putting folks in the infirmary every single day. So, I mean, you're going to see probably Hatchett roll out there first. You got to think that he's probably been had him some good time with the with the training staff. But Bates has been dinged up too, and you need somebody to rise to the occasion. And I think that's I mean, you're going to have to play through injuries. That's football. Nobody's running out there with 22 fully healthy guys. But so that's kind of what I'm feeling is you're going to see them there. I think you probably have starting out, you're going to have Sexton, Ozida, Hatchett, Fabici, and then Jake Taylor.
That's a good point. Tanya, thank you for the $4.99. Sends the Sheba Dog saying, hey, with the joyfulness. We appreciate the love and support. Let me go ahead and pull some of these questions up. I actually like a lot of y'all's questions populating. I'm going to pull this one in. All right. Coop. What do you think against Houston? Do you think we will open up more since it's a Power 4 team? Absolutely not, Doug. It's going to be as frustrating as it was against Temple. Now, I will say this. I do expect us to go deep a few times. I do expect us to throw deeper passes. I expect us to go for more explosive plays just to test them out, because we're now at the point where we probably should test those out too, right? You can't always be conservative on the field. Even though you're trying to control the game clock, you will, but I don't think so. Coop, what you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to do that. You're going to see more deep plays. They're going to want to see some chunks, because the last thing you want to do is get these guys frustrated. See, these guys have been running deep routes and scoring on deep routes, all throughout fall camp, and you heard about it. You saw the. You saw the social accounts drop it, so that's what you're going to see. Now, is it going to be something to where Jackson tosses it deep every other drive? I don't think so. But you're going to want to have some. This is what we don't want. Is you don't want them throwing it deep and them start backing off, and then us not able to complete the ball or something like that. Then playing deep coverage, and then you're basically playing on 2 downs, and you're not sure about what the running game looks like. So, we'll see some more deep passes. I think we'll see the offense a little bit more kind of how you saw other teams playing their scrubs this past week. Like Tennessee, running deep slants, running post routes. You're going to see a lot of that with our guys.
That's a good point. Boomer129 asks, how many takeaways do we expect this game? So, I mean, we had
10.
6. I don't expect that many, but I could totally see us going with like 4 in this game. I don't know how many interceptions we'll have, but I could totally see us getting sacks. What's funny is when I went back and watched the turnovers we got, the 4 sacks we had in that game, the most intriguing thing about it, Coop, was we didn't try to strip the ball at all. We were just hitting people.
Yeah.
And if you're able to hit people like that and it ends up in punches that makes the ball fly out, whew, you got a tenacious defense. They were hitting, and that was it. It was no strips or pulls. It was boom, smacks. I mean, the Lewis Carter one, when Kenny picked it up, he just popped the dude. They was putting that helmet right there on the ball. And in some situations when they wrapped up, they had fists that was punching it right out of their arm. Fantastic work. So I'm going to say 4 just to play it safe. They could do more, but I'm going to say I think 4 is a good number.
Hey, listen, if you roll out of 2 games with 10 caused turnovers, that's pretty damn admirable. So
it is.
I'm going to go, I'm going to go with 4 also. I was going to say 5, but now I like the, since I threw out the 10,
keep it. Yeah, stick to it. It's okay.
Here's the deal. Is you also start seeing these guys, putting their hands up. If they can't get the quarterback, put their hands up. You saw Trace Ford do it at one point. What is this defensive line? Because the last thing you can do is go and tell your defensive line, like, don't go be who you are. And so I would like to see. I would like to see maybe lull them into something to where they feel comfortable doing a little bit of drop back and getting some practice that way. But just continue to do what you're doing and let's run, because that defensive line, I mean, we inverted the pocket, and instead of a pocket, it was a U, and it was coming right at you if you were the quarterback. So, I mean, also you throw the ball up in the air, you're going to have, if they're running 12 personnel, you probably got one deep safety. You've probably got, corners one-on-one. So, I mean, I like our corners. They're going to be bigger. They're going to be able to keep the press coverage and cover in the field. And then one tip ball up in the air, and you've got several dudes who want to go catch the ball. And Dolby feels cheated. He wants an interception after last week.
Which is still funny to me that he flipped out like that. Like, did anybody actually ask him about it? Because I don't think I recall hearing an answer from that at all.
I did.
What did he say?
He saw all the stuff on Twitter, and so he said he's still going to try to come on here soon. But it was funny. And then I think somebody else asked him in one of the interviews, and he said at first he really didn't know, and then he heard the crowd going crazy, and he turned around and looked, and he saw Kanai, and then he quoted back. In Arizona, I think they had the same situation where he popped up a ball and Kanai intercepted it against Arizona in the bowl game. So I think Brent Venables said, did Dolby pop up the ball to Kanai on purpose? And Brent's response was, no, he's not that good of a teammate.
What I'm curious is what was Kendall thinking? Right, like
he thought that he mossed it and he popped it up and the ball slid up. So he
had the ball in his hands.
He thought he should have held the ball.
Oh, I thought he punched it out. So that's probably where I missed it, because I thought he punched the ball out. I thought he got it. And
the receiver. Yeah.
Okay, so he went over him and and then it flew out. That's why. Because I was trying to figure it out the whole time. Like, why is he losing his mind like this? Like
it was good.
That's hilarious. All right. Kim asked the question, did we see Smith play any DN? We did see Nigel Smith out there. He did get some run. We saw Nigel. We saw Wyatt Gilmore. Nesta got some run. Of course, Marcus Strong got 2 sacks on 3 snaps, which is still absurd to think about. He's taking advantage of his opportunity. I'm going to get some stats.
Hey, and guess what? We saw Nigel's pops. Nigel Pops is a huge
ginormous
dude.
human being.
He definitely gets his size from his daddy.
His dad was a former hooper, but he looks like he could be an edge, right?
You
put about 50 pounds on him, he's a tackle. Huh?
He was probably 6'6", right?
6'7". Yeah,
so,
6'6", between 6'6" and 6'8". He was tall.
He was.
And he was
big.
also wide and big dude. Like he looked like he could have played tackle if you add 50 pounds to him. Let's put it that way. But he's chiseled, which was terrifying. Yeah. I see where Nigel gets his size, like you said. So yes, we did see him. T Boomer asked a great question. How many touchdowns will Burks have in this game? Ooh.
I'm gonna go with he's gonna definitely try to get 3. I think he gets a deep ball touchdown. You get up on the goal line and, you're 4 or 5 yards out. He's perfect for that area. Anytime you're in the red zone, I mean, you're going to have the taller guys. You're going to have Bauer Sharp. It's going to clear out a lot of stuff. So let's go with 3 more, because I think Deion Burks, he's got that Stephon Diggs, Terrell Owens, Antonio Brown. He's got that crazy, like, I want the ball always to him. Mm-hmm. CeeDee Lamb just knew he was good, and he just went out there and did good things. But like, he was over on the sideline complaining he wanted the ball more, and he had one-on-one with no safety help, and he went directly over to, I think he went over to Joe John, and he was like pointing towards the end zone. So yeah, there's good chance that they're going to let him cook.
I like that. So touchdowns wise, I think that Burks will end up with 2. I think they get him early, 1 deep, and 1 short after a turnover, and that's it. We basically get him in and out quickly on that, and he scores pretty fast on there. Let's see. These are some good questions y'all have in here.
I saw something about the edge play. Les, I want to kind of address that because
right now. Give me a second. Let me pull it up on the screen. How you guys feel about our edge play? Anything you hope to see from them? From Jesse. Thank you so much for that. Coop, what you think?
So I think our edges did completely fine. They set the edge
Agreed.
on some of those running plays. R. Mason Thomas was in on some good tackles. He was hitting guys at the scrimmage or behind. But we really didn't have any opportunities. They didn't do anything beyond a 3-step drop at all, and they got the ball out extremely, extremely fast.
They did.
And so the edges did exactly what they were supposed to do. I mean, there were multiple times that I saw them actually drop back out into coverage. With Trace Ford did it a few times. Wooler did it a few times. I watched PJ exclusively when I was watching for the third down conversions, and he didn't ever even have a chance to really pass rush. But he did stick his nose in, and he did light some guys up. So that extra weight he put on was good. If they do any deep drops, we're going to have some more opportunity. But when you play these games, and what made us absolutely just dog run Texas Tech back in the day, when they were getting the ball out that fast, was the interior pressure. That's what causes that some issue, because you get up in the face and those quick drops, all of a sudden you've got two guys right in front of you, and it's harder to make those throws. That's why you see a lot more tip passes. So I don't expect the edge guys to have much, unless, again, we push in the middle and he tries to roll out, and then they catch him in the backfield. But at the same time, I mean, if play action is going left, and PJ is supposed to basically hold the edge, he's going to have to completely switch and switch field position, switch momentum, and go back the other way. But I just don't think it. I think that when we play Tennessee, we'll see more opportunities for the edge guys to really to get their feet underneath them.
Yeah, I think the big thing with the edge guys is because they were forcing the quarterback to go in so much, kind of like Coop was talking about. In my watching it, you could tell that the quarterback was very aware of the edge people. Like, he was very aware of the edges. He was very aware of, like, Kendall Dobie and Reggie Powers, the third, coming in on their blitzes. And so he was stepping up very quickly, or trying to get rid of the ball fast. And the minute they got to him, he was already trying to get rid of that thing. He was terrified. You could see it in Forrest Brock's eyes. Dude was horrified.
Well,
so I think our edges did what they needed to do to be disruptive. Right, I think you'll get more of them in the next set of games, because I don't think people are going to look at the edges like that. They're going to be more focused on a defensive line. Eric has a question. Oh, go ahead.
Real, before you go into that, I pointed that out to you also. That at one point there was an offensive lineman that came over to the sideline, and we were right behind the guest bench, and he came over to the sideline, and I don't know if it was an injured player who was in street clothes, or if it was an assistant coach or whatever. But the guy was like, hell no, you go back out there. And the guy didn't want to be out there against the defensive line. And I tried to point that out to you, and I was trying not to cuss because the kids are right in front of us, but they were getting pushed back so fast that it's hard, because as an offensive lineman, you have a driving position where you're pushing out and you're catching with your hands. But if you get ran up on, kind of like the last play in the bowl game where, I think was it Everett at center, and by the time he got stood up, I mean, he was leaning backwards. At that point, you're just holding on, because that, like, if you try to let go, you're falling on your ass. And so, that offensive line was not having a good time
At all. So, question from Eric: when is Deshaun McCullough coming back? I think the anticipation was closer to Tennessee. The good thing is the linebacker room is really deep. So I know they had him playing some will, doing a little blitzing or whatnot. So we want him to get healthy. That way we can truly leverage him. Of course, Lemon asked about Hickman. So BV talked about him in this press conference recently and said that he's healthy, that he did good in practice yesterday. Yeah, he was good in practice, and for the most part, it sounds like he could probably go, but they're probably not gonna play him. Makes more sense not to. If he left last week's game to the point that he couldn't play, you may as well sit him this week, play him against Tulane. Let him just go ahead and rest that ankle, and then he can go out there and really play. But BB said he was good and he was able to move and be just fine on that ankle. So maybe, he twisted it twice to the point where it's like, all right, I got to come out the game.
Yeah.
They probably said, nah, rest it. We're losing. We've lost too many centers. We need you to be healthy going forward.
Somebody's got to be around to play.
Exactly. So I expect him back. Steven, thank you so much for pointing this out. It's Dominic's
Yep.
birthday. Happy birthday to Dominic Williams. He has definitely been really good. And I'm very glad that we have him on this team.
He's a wall. I mean, he is an absolute wall. And you see, I mean, you're starting to, I mean, against this Temple, their O-line is ass. This Houston O-line, I mean, not only were they bad, but now they're going to try to have to like shuffle some guys around. So, it's going to look, for whatever expectations we as fans had this week, and then we turn around and, had the injuries and everything. We saw a lower average offensive line play from Oklahoma.
Yes, we did.
We're so used to seeing high, play that, we average, I mean, what we ran for 220, we're fifth in the SEC in rushing right now. So, but I promise you this is those guys are going to continue to push those guys backwards. You're going to see Jaden, you're going to see DJ Terry, you're going to see Don Williams. They're going to continue to push those guys back in. And it's going to be it's these guys are going to continue just to do whatever they want for right now, and that's why you're going to get excited to see some of the younger kids. I'd like to see Stoney get a sack because I want to see him get a sack at home because I think he just got in on a play in the third quarter, and he just barely missed it and went out and everybody was excited. I mean, freaking Grayson Halton, guys, this is the guy that we've been hearing about for 2 years, and after you hear it for that long, you're like, man, I just can't believe it. I mean, dude ball. I mean, what was it? 2 total tackles, a sack and a half, tackle loss, 1.5 tackles for loss. I mean, he balled, and so I'm so happy for him because between him and R. Mason Thomas, those are two kids that have continued to fight injuries, and man, they could have given up and they could have rolled out and they could have gone to
Transferred out and did something different, right? But they realized that I want to stick around, and R. Mason Thomas looked good. I got to say that.
Yeah.
Lemon asks, how many jet sweeps do we see this game? I'll see myself out. It's funny. I think we'll see at least three or four. I think we're going to get those smaller. We're going to get it to Petaway. We're going to get it to Ragin. We're going to get it to Burks, and we're going to let them run all over the place. Why not? You may as well. So I think 3 or 4 times.
I think you see probably Petaway. I don't know if you give Ragins a jet sweep yet. I mean, that guy needs to, weigh more than my 9-year-old daughter before you want him.
Oh no! You give it to him because you're not going to catch him. He's that small. That's the best part about being small. You got to catch the guy. He's going to outrun everybody.
So Stephen G, everybody knows that my Star Destroyer package, I'd like to see a goal line. I sent it to Gabe earlier. I'm going to see what he says, but I would like to see the 13 personnel. You can have EPL out as the third tight end. I would probably like to see that around the 3 or 4 yard line and just run a jet sweep with handing it off to EPL and call it the Star Destroyer package.
Oh,
if we can get that, I will cry. I will definitely cry.
I expect to see some EPL back there as a little H-back. I do want, if there is a left guard that I do want to see more of, I want to see him and Ozeta. I want to see both of them play more. Because I just want to see how both of them go out there and just destroy folks, right? Billy asked this one. Sam Franklin has some juice to him, don't he? I hope to see him some too. I agree. Sam Franklin looked a lot better than I expected, right? Because I know that there was more so an effort thing, I guess you could say, with him. He's talented. But when he got out there, him and Tatum, they looked good. And it leads to the next question that populated that I thought was very good question here is why does it take our guy Gavin Sawchuk so long to get going? Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question, and it's a very much a good one because that's one question I've asked, right? I'm wondering if I don't know if I blame Sawchuk. I feel like I blame more play calling while Sawchuk's in said game. But he also is he's a volume runner. You got to get him to his 12th run, and then he breaks it out for 60 yards. That seems like how it was all last year, and I'm sensing that's kind of it's going to be this year. So we just need to get him the ball more. If we get him the ball more, I think he'll be fine.
Because I mean,
Go ahead.
I think he picked up 2 fourth down. It was either 1 or 2 fourth down conversions. One of them, it was a 4th and 1. It was after Jackson did the scramble and they called it a first down. They reviewed it, and so yeah, I mean we ran inside zone and zone insert, and that was pretty much it. And then Temple's, they were in position. That's the one thing I'll say about Temple this past week is they were in position, and the first time that they got out of position was that Sam Franklin run, and I think it was a 30-yard run, in the beginning of the second half. But yeah, it's we definitely don't have Jags at running back. I can promise you that. Sawchuk has shown way too much to be a Jag, and you saw burst out of Barnes. I mean, Barnes actually looked like he was running angry. He made a guy in the backfield miss on his big run. Made a guy miss in the backfield, squeezed through a small hole, and he had himself a good run. So I mean, none of these guys can catch any rhythm, but I like to see some more rhythm.
Yeah, so T asked this question, do you guys think PJ plays too high? I think PJ's not mean enough.
100%.
I think he's getting meaner. Because what it is that he's skilled enough to get around the guys and disrupt plays. We just need him to get meaner in the way he starts running through people more often.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he uses skill to get away. Like, I mean, kind of like you see Dylan Stewart doing for South Carolina, which that dude's terrifying. PJ does stuff like that. It's just he gets there just a split second too late. If he just runs through a dude, kind of like, Marshawn Lynch, you just run through a dude's face over and 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 over again.
Yeah.
Just run through a face. That's what you got to do. We need PJ to do this sometimes, right? I think if we do that, we'll be good.
Boomer said it. PJ has to taste blood. I think, I think that I've said that for a while now, that the first time that he gets out and he's, just demolishes somebody, I think he's going to get very, very, very excited.
I agree too. All you can do is one time. Then he's like, oh yeah, I can do this. Push him up and toss him. Does Jackson Arnold kick a field goal in this game? Yeah, at this point, he's probably going to get goofy.
Let's not mess with the field goal stuff. We got this.
I am liking what Keltner's doing. We're going to let Keltner continue to do it. Yeah, we won't touch that. No kicking burritos, though. Do not do any burritos. Thunder OU Sooner asks, how many touchdowns will Taylor Tatum get?
I'm going 2.
I think he'll get 1. But I like 2. 2's a very safe number. I think he gets 1. UT for life. Appreciate the competition coming through, but he also says it exactly what I saw. I assume OU didn't scheme anything for Temple, just ran what they wanted to work on. The backups ran counters that any of the running backs could have capitalized. Yeah, we just went out there and played ball and had a good time, which also I love.
Thanks for talking ball and not being a troll, UT for life.
Yeah. UT always pulls up with some good ball talk. I haven't seen Frightening in a bit because he thinks he made me mad, but it was more so I just thought he was very much illogical in his argument. Like, if a team improves like the next year with experience, that's kind of like the whole point of college football. You get dudes for 3 to 4 years and they get better each year, right? It's just kind of how things work. Right. Well, yeah, touche. They got a new coach though. That's probably why. And they kept their quarterback like an idiot. All right. I think to make this the last one for the night before we go ahead and get some bedtime. What do you think about JJ's drops? And do you think they should play the younger receivers more in their first 3 games? I'm still an apologist for JJ Hester. I saw what he did at Missouri. I also saw how he hadn't played in 18 months. So I give a little grace there. This is his last opportunity, though, because we need him. He's one of the sizier wide receivers we have who's been in the system long enough to understand the route tree that he needs to run. And he's fast. He runs a 4.4. He is a fast dude. He now needs to go out there and show us. So you got to catch the ball moving forward, period. And I think he will. I mean, those two probably have been haunting him for the last few nights. Every night he's thought about that. I expect him to make catches moving forward.
Yeah, if you see Major League when they go and they grab Wesley Snipes, Willie Mays Hayes while he's asleep in training camp, and they take his bed out and they put it out in front, I don't think anybody's going to do that, but there's going to be I mean, this is his last chance because, I mean, I don't think that you continue to throw guys out there and him not make plays. I mean, the deep ball, I think he gator armed it. That's probably the legitimate, first game time deep ball he's had, since
Missouri
happened.
Because he caught one in Missouri that fat. He caught a touchdown a deep pass in Missouri before he transferred. So yeah, it's been that long, guys, and he's been here 2 years. This is his third year here.
It's been a minute, and so, but at the same time, I mean, you got to take opportunities when they come to you, and if
I concur.
That's bad for a young quarterback too, is because he's going to lose faith in that, and he's going to see him streaking and think, well, I kind of have to have this play. Let's not.
Yep, and I think that he'll be fine because he caught one pass. So at Missouri, he caught 9 catches, 195 yards. 2 touchdowns, and one of them was a 65-yarder. And then when he transferred to Oklahoma, he had 1 catch for 13 yards first game, and he was hurt. He's been hurt ever since in 2022. So 2022 season he was out, 2023 season he was out. Now we get him here. Corporate Duck, I like this question. This will be the last one. Do we see Michael Hawkins getting more snaps than last game? Coop, I'm going to be honest. I actually see us running up the score in the first half, taking Jackson Arnold out.
If the game goes how you're expecting it to go, I think that you see Hawkins mid to late third quarter. Because, again, I think that you saw Jackson Arnold stay in as long as he stayed in because they still wanted to work on stuff. They still Jackson still is a first-year starting quarterback. And so, yeah, that's a big deal. And so that's what we're gonna lean into is getting Jackson the snaps because you can't be pulling your first year starter out at halftime, and it's just not good potion. So, but I think that we'll see him get pulled a little bit earlier, especially if you're up at halftime, 42, 45, something like that. That's when you're gonna pull him out. But yeah, he needs reps.
I think we do see Hawkins this game. I think you pull Jackson Arnold by halftime. You should get the score up to where Jackson Arnold is done at the half, and then let Michael Hawkins run the offense from there. Maybe bring in Casey in the fourth quarter, right? Like you said, you kind of want to get more reps from Michael Hawkins. That's probably the best option. That way, we ain't gonna speak on it, but you always want to have our quarterbacks at least getting some reps going, get that arm loose, keep everybody's arm loose, just like you're doing with every running back. Let everybody running back run, let everybody get their arm loose and go from there. So, all right, we're gonna get up out of here. Thanks, BetUS, hooking us up, 125% up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. They're taking care of the gamer. Check them out. Link in the description below. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. Hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Give us 5 anyway and gift it. And with that, we will chop it up with every single one of you in the next few days. Me and Coop may have something special coming. We're working on some interviews. But we'll talk soon. Peace.